Have you ever wished you could connect with your parents on a deeper level but didn't know where to start? I really enjoy playing those card games like We're Not Really Strangers and But Honestly because they spark deep conversations and allow you to discover things you never knew about your friends. Then I found out about ParentsAreHuman, which is exactly the same concept, but instead of playing it with your friends, you play it with your parents. This game, ParentsAreHuman, was created by Joseph Lam to fix his broken relationship with his parents. After a year of playing the game weekly, Joseph and his parents went from rarely ever talking for over a decade to having any deep conversation and embracing each other's love. I think this is such a beautiful story, so when I discovered that they had a free digital pack on Notion, I knew I had to bring this game to life as an interactive web app. So let me take you through the journey of building this app to playing it with my parents during the Lunar New Year in the village. Let's go. So first of all, I did some wireframe sketching to figure out how I wanted the app to look. I'm not looking for anything fancy here, just want it to be functional and basic. So this is how the finished product looks like. As you can see, we've got two buttons up here for each of the levels. Pick a new card for generating a new card, the actual card itself, and a history component which keeps track of the previous questions. So if I click pick a new card, it's going to give me a new card and it's going to store the previous question over here. So we're just going to keep picking a new card, and once I go through all the cards, it's going to tell me congrats, you have finished all the cards in this level. And then when I switch to level 2, it's going to reset the history and we can just cycle through all the questions again. And these cards are randomly generated. And once we're done, it will say congrats again. So yep, pretty straightforward little app that we're going to create. Here's the structure of the project. I've got a components folder which contains the button, card, header, and history components, and then I've got a data folder which simply contains one file, which is all the data from all the different cards. So it's all the cards on this Notion page, and there are 70 cards. And then finally we've got this app which contains all the components and functions. I've also got this CSS file which is going to give us the styling for the components. So as for the card pile, this is basically an object which has two properties, 1 and 2. Now 1 is going to contain an array of all the cards for level 1, and 2 is going to contain an array for all the cards of level 2. So if I expand this, you can see these are each of the individual cards. So this is one card and this is another card, and it's also stored as an object. So these are all the different properties that I'm going to be storing for each card, and it corresponds to these over here. So level 1 indicated by this, and topic indicated by this, and the question in English and Chinese here and here. Now this game is translated into many different languages, but I chose simplified Chinese because I'm Malaysian Chinese and we speak in Chinese sometimes at home. And let me just say that trying to create this card pile object was a very tedious task because I had to go through all these questions and manually type out all of them. And keep in mind that there are 70 cards, so I had to type out the English and Chinese question. And honestly, when I was doing this, I just wished there was like some kind of Excel sheet where I can just, copy and paste the questions, but unfortunately, no, I just had to do it manually. So how do you actually render all this data in each card onto this card component? Well, to do that, we just go to the card component and all the magic really happens here. So, as you can see, this card component takes in a card prop, and this card prop is an object. It corresponds to this object. So that's why we can do card.level, and it's going to access whatever the level is. So I'm going to do level, card.level, and then the card.topic, card.English question, and card.simplified Chinese question. If I were to place this card.topic with something else, like hello, this gets replaced as hello. So these 4 lines of code are essentially what's controlling the data that is rendered on this card component. And remember how there's different colored cards? So there's a blue card and then there's also a red card. So that's controlled by the styling in this block. So if the card.topic is an action, then it's going to be red, and if not, it's going to be blue. Okay, so we've been doing lots of coding, so it's time for a quick break. Gonna be drinking some milk and pairing that with these pineapple tarts that my mom made. Before we get back to our project, I want to talk about Scrimba, the sponsor of today's video. Scrimba is a learning platform where you can learn how to code in a very hands-on approach and build projects at the same time. The team at Scrimba recently reached out to me to test out their platform, and I was really excited because I'd actually known about Scrimba since my early days when I was just starting to learn how to code, and I'd always loved their platform. There are so many coding resources out there, but I really like Scrimba because unlike other learning platforms, they have this thing called a scrim, which allows you to directly edit the code the instructor is sharing. This is much more convenient and interactive than having to copy the code into your own editor, perfect for visual learners like myself. A lot of their courses are practical and project-based, meaning you'll be making projects as you learn, which you can then add to your portfolio. Here are some of the courses they have. As you can see, they have a wide variety of courses ranging from web dev to AI. Their front-end career path is even created in partnership with Mozilla MDN, which is kinda cool. They're starting to add more AI-related courses such as learning to code with AI, and they've created courses together with domain experts including Hugging Face, Mistral, and LangChain. I'm currently doing this AI engineer path because one of my tech goals this year is to learn more about AI. If you're worried about pricing, don't be, because over 80% of their course content is free. So you can just make a free account, test it out, and see whether you like it or not. If you do want to upgrade to Pro, the Pro plan unlocks more Pro courses, gets you course certificates, and also allows you to join their exclusive Discord community. If you're interested in trying out Scrimba, feel free to use the link in my descriptions and you'll get 20% off the Pro plan if you choose to upgrade. Thank you to Scrimba for sponsoring this segment of the video. Okay, now let's get back to coding. The next step is to render a new unique card every time the new card button is pressed. This is to simulate picking a card from a shuffled deck of cards. Now this is all going to happen in the app component. So first of all, we need to create two different states. So one is for the level of the cards, and then the other one is going to be the index of the cards. So when the level 1 button is pressed, it's going to call this change level function, and then it's going to set the level to 1. And similarly, when the level 2 button is pressed, it's going to call the change level function and set the level to 2. So what is this change level function? This change level function is going to take in a number, which is the level, and then it's going to set the level state to the new level. It's also going to reset the index to 0 so that when the level changes, the index doesn't go out of bounds for the cards of the new level, because initially I didn't have this and it was giving me an out of bounds issue. Now as for the pick a new card button, when you click it, it's going to call this generate new card function. Now this generate new card function is a little bit chunky, but essentially this is what it needs to do. Generate new card, first of all, the current card question gets rendered in the history list, and then we need to generate a new card that does not have the same index as any card in the history list. So first of all, we check if there's even any more new cards to generate, and if not, we just return. But assuming there are still more cards to go through, we continue on. So we're going to set the current index as the old index, and then we're going to use this while loop, which is going to generate a new index until the new index is not present in the use cards array. Now what is this use cards array? Well, it's also one of the states. So this state is going to be for the history component. So after that, it's going to call the add use card function, which is this. The add use card basically adds the old card to the use cards pile, and then it's going to set the index of the card to the new index that was generated. Yeah, I'm sorry if this sounds confusing. It's my first time trying to explain my code, so I'm still trying to get better at it. So a little side note on how long it took me to build this project. I started this in December 2022, and I only finished it in September 2024. So it took around 2 years. And no, I did not code this continuously for 2 years. It's more like life happened and this project just ended up being neglected and sitting on the back burner for like 2 years. So if you look at the commit history, I literally worked on it for one day in each year of 2022, 2023, 2024. Or more like I made a commit on one day of each year, but I worked on it for a couple of days. When I began this project, I had only just started working as a software engineer, and this project seemed really daunting to me. There was still a lot of things I didn't know about React, a lot of gaps in my understanding. So while it may seem like I only worked on this project for like one day in each year, in actual fact, a lot of growth and learning has happened between those time periods. And I'm sharing this because I know that some of you may have some little side projects of your own as well, sitting on the back burner too. So here's your sign to go and finish that side project, or just sunset it, you know? Hi everybody, so it is currently the first day of the Chinese New Year and we are in the kampong, which is a village. So let me just show you around. This is my grandma's house. My grandma is unfortunately no longer around. Mommy, what's the question?
What was your favorite food growing up? My favorite food is, I love it when coming to Chinese New Year, my mom will cook a few dishes that I love it so much. Until today, I still dreaming to eat it.
So what was your favorite food growing up?
My favorite food growing up. Food was never my favorite things in the first place when I was growing up.
My highlight, the highlight of my childhood is playing hide and seek.
And also sitting on a little chiku tree.
Oh yeah! Oh, I love to climb up the chiku tree. The chiku tree is a main part of my life. Oh dear, so sad.
Give each other a warm hug. So yeah, that's it for today's video, and I hope you found it helpful. Hopefully it also inspired you to reach out to your parents and do some bonding with them, because remember, our parents will only be here for a limited amount of time. So let's make the most of this time that we have with them while we still can. This is my first video for 2025, and my plan for YouTube this year is to do more build with me / code with me type videos. I recently made a post about my 2025 tech goals, which includes things like learning 3D, data visualization, building a cozy game, learning AI, and also animations. So I plan to document my process and then make a video on how it all went. If you have any video suggestions for me, please drop your ideas in the Google form linked down below. Also, if you want to learn how to code, don't forget to check out Scrimba. The link is also in the descriptions, and you'll get 20% off the pro plan if you use that link. As always, please like, share, and comment if you found this video helpful, and subscribe if you want to see more content like this. Stay well, stay safe, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!